Welcome to my channel, detailing events throughout the decades. 2009. U.S. Airways Flight 1549. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was an Airbus A320. It was a scheduled flight, set to depart from New York City's LaGuardia Airport, en route to Charlotte Douglas. In command of Flight 1549 was pilot Chesley B. Sullenberger, aged 57. He was a former fighter pilot, with a total of 19,663 flight hours. Alongside Chesley B. Sullenberger was First Officer Jeffrey B. Skiles, aged 49. He had a total of 15,643 flight hours, but this was his first Airbus A320 flight since qualifying to fly one. On board Flight 1549 were 150 passengers, and 3 flight attendants. The flight was cleared for takeoff from runway 4 at 3:24 p.m. However, not long after the flight had departed, it was struck by a flock of Canada geese, while at 2,818 feet, just a few miles from LaGuardia Airport. Loud bangs were heard, and flames were seen from the engines. This is when it went silent. Both engines had shut down, so the pilot quickly took control of the aircraft, while the first officer worked on the checklist to try and restart the engines. At this time, the aircraft was still climbing and continued to do so for a further 19 seconds, before it began a glide descent. A Mayday call was made, informing New York Terminal Radar Approach Control of the situation, and requesting to return back to LaGuardia Airport. The air traffic controller informed LaGuardia's control tower to hold all departures, and directed Flight 1549 to LaGuardia's runway 13. However, Chesley Sullenberger quickly informed them that they would be unable to make this, and asked for landing options at New Jersey. Just moments later, they were informed by Chesley Sullenberger that they were also unable to make it to this airport, and told them that they were going to be landing in the Hudson River. Chesley Sullenberger made a command over the address system for passengers to brace for impact. Now their fate laid in the hands of Chesley Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey B. Skiles. Air traffic control quickly informed the Coast Guard to caution all vessels which were on the Hudson about Flight 1549, and ask for them to assist in a rescue attempt. At 3:31 p.m., Flight 1549 ditched in the middle of the Hudson River, where the ebb tide began to take the plane southwards. The plane had ditched in one piece, and all those on board had survived. Chesley Sullenberger came out of the cockpit and quickly gave the order to evacuate the aircraft. The flight crew quickly responded and started to evacuate the passengers through the 4 exits, down an inflatable slide. Freezing water began to enter the aircraft, as passengers desperately tried to escape. Chesley Sullenberger did not leave the aircraft until he knew every last passenger had gotten out. Some passengers managed to climb onto the wings of the aircraft, while others were knee-deep in cold water on partially submerged exit slides. Luckily, the aircraft had ditched not too far from some boats, who quickly came to the rescue. At 3:55 p.m., the final person was rescued from the aircraft. 5 people were treated for serious injuries, while 78 were treated for minor injuries, but all were thankful to be alive. On January 17, the aircraft was barged to New Jersey. Every passenger received a letter of apology, and compensation for lost baggage. Any belongings recovered were returned back to the passengers in May 2009. An investigation into the landing began, but concluded that the aircraft had lost thrust after the bird strike after finding evidence of feathers in the engine. Throughout the investigation, Chesley Sullenberger maintained that there had been no time to bring the aircraft back to any airport, and to do so, would likely killed all those on board and many more on the ground. It was eventually ruled that Chesley Sullenberger had made the correct decision and he was credited for his efforts. The NTSB called the ditching the most successful in aviation history. The crew was awarded a Master's Medal for Outstanding Aviation Achievements. New York City Mayor also presented the crew with the keys to the city, and rescuers that day were awarded certificates of honor. Chelsea Sullenberger retired on March 3, 2010 after 30 years with U.S. Airways. At the end of his final flight, he was reunited with First Officer Jeffrey Skiles and a number of the passengers who had been on board Flight 1549. In 2010, the damaged aircraft was acquired by the Carolina Aviation Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today, people can visit and see Flight 1549 up close, and remember this iconic feat of bravery by the skilled pilots Chesley B. Sullenberger and Jeffrey B. Skiles in what will no doubt go down in aviation history. Thank you for watching and learning about these events throughout history. Please subscribe to my channel to view other events throughout the decades.